Is July 17th, 2024. I went on Google last night and I Googled medical malpractices. There's a whole list of doctors falsely diagnosing people, doing unnecessary surgeries, and the FBI put them in jail, making people sick this year, even in Ohio. They even went back and put a 71-year-old in jail for 59 years because it's a criminal act. You falsely diagnose somebody and you make them sick and then they almost die and then you keep lying and it takes another doctor to tell on you. That's negligence and it's a criminal act. They have an oath of doing no harm. Okay? They put a 71-year-old, a doctor, for medical malpractice, went back and put him in jail for 59 years this year. Now, I took care of this one client, had a medical episode, the police were called. He got taken for observation. Observation's nothing. You could have took the wrong amount of medicine. You could have ingested a toxin. You don't know if that person's done illicit drugs and it's making them crazy. Okay? So they watch them for a few days. Just make sure, see if they're okay. Make sure they didn't have a stroke. Something. They don't have diabetes, their sugar's off the chart. It's not some kind of medical episode. Find out what's going on with this person. Okay? But no, he wouldn't calm down. So they put him in a state hospital. State hospital actually falsely diagnosed him. If you're acting erratic and all over the place, that's not like a bipolar. Okay? Bipolar means opposites. You're either high or you're low. You're either so high you can't sleep for 3, 5, 7 days, erratic as far as happy, joy, da-da-da-da-da. And then you crash. And you can't get out of bed for a couple of days. You can't eat, you're depressed, you're suicidal. And then you flink back. That's why they call it bi. Schizophrenia, the word schizo, it's because they're erratic, just erratic. And they have to have medication to calm the pulses of being erratic. They're the ones that think they have people inside of them besides themselves, have different personalities. That's schizophrenia. Psychopaths, there's no treatment for it. Their part of their brain of sympathy, empathy, or remorse doesn't work. They have happy, joy, excitement, and anger. They don't feel sorry for their victims. They have no remorse in what they do. They're serial killers. And until the law stops them, they will keep harming people because they get a thrill out of breaking the law and killing people or harming them because they don't think they're stoppable. They have no remorse. And there's no treatment for that. Because that part of sympathy, empathy, remorse just don't even work. It doesn't light up. Depression is just when you're so sad you can't get out of like a funk of not feeling good, your mind went through something you can't handle. Post-traumatic syndrome, a really bad tragedy or something bad happens, and it's just overwhelming. And you can't, it's too much, okay? There's different things. Now, bipolar and schizophrenia, they have medications for it. People cannot live a normal life without meds to either stop the malfunctions of the highs or low, or the schizophrenia of being so erratic and then altered personalities. I took care of this one person that looked at me and said, well, I have an angel inside me. I said, cut it out. That ain't funny. Well, I can call it. I said, cut it out. That ain't funny. So he rolled his head, looked at me with a different look, and said a bunch of crazy crap. I'm like, cut it out. That ain't funny. So he rolled his head back, went back and went, what did it say? I said, cut it out. That ain't funny. I wasn't going to play into any of what I just seen. Not even knowledge. As soon as I got alone, hey! Got a hold off. Do you know Strange did that? He said, in front of everybody, he could call on God's audible voice. That God of the creator of the universe. He could call on him and he would speak through him. And raise his hands. Everyone be quiet. God's gonna speak. Everyone quiet. It was creepy. And then he'd blurt out, this is a word from God. And he would say the craziest crap. He was very schizophrenic. He didn't say God laid it on my heart while I was praying in a good word. He literally raised his hands. God's going to speak through me. Everyone quiet. He's going to talk through me. Everyone quiet. Everyone quiet. God's getting ready to talk through me. And then say the craziest crap. I want God. David Koresh thought he was Jesus. The one that burned all those people, he thought he was Jesus. Okay? He had to write God's word that because he was the Son of God, that he needed the world to know. Do you know what the agent said? I didn't know the Son of God can't smell. The creator of the universe can't smell. Jim Jones thought he was Jesus too. Strange let little kids call him Jesus. Those people are so brainwashed. He raises his hands. God's gonna talk to me. Talk through me. He's gonna talk. Everyone quiet. And they all fell for him. They all fell for him. Anything that came out of that man's crazy mouth. He's very schizophrenic. Now, all but the young doctor at Altman Family Physicians that told on those doctors that were known for lying, falsely diagnosing people, ripping them off, making them sick. And maybe like one young surgeon. All my doctors were in their 50s 22 years ago. It's probably a retirement plan, ripping people off, making them sick, make as much money as you can before you retire. Getting kickbacks from drug companies from $200 to $1,000 per false prescription. Didn't care what they did because they're getting ready to retire. Make as much money as possible. Where they have an oath of doing no harm. 2000, there was an opioid addiction. The local doctors were becoming drug dealers. They get the office visit appointment, kickbacks from the drug companies. They falsely diagnosed people, got millions addicted to opioids. That's why when you're in pain, you can't get pain medicine. People falsely diagnosed people, ripped them off, got kickbacks from drug companies, kept them sick so they'd come back. They did unnecessary procedures. Okay? People died and were maimed. On that one Google page, it's still happening here in Ohio. The FBI went back and put some 71-year-old in jail. And they said, they were even talking about other doctors, how sickening it is what they will do to people to rip them off, put stents in a healthy heart. Start thinking about this. They damaged my heart. They told people I had brain tumors causing brain swelling. Told them I had epilepsy causing seizures. Damaged my heart, made my heart valve enlarge and go into many heart attacks. And it took another doctor to tell them they were ripping me off, making me that sick. My whole body swelled up, my thyroid, my adrenal gland shut down. And they were just getting kickbacks from drug companies and wanting to do unnecessary procedures. They wanted to remove my pituitary gland, saying I had level 2 brain tumors. They caused a brain swelling, so I'd have the symptoms of it. They were lining me up with a surgeon. It was a $500,000 to $1 million surgery. And there was nothing wrong with my brain, but they caused the swelling. And it took another doctor to tell them they were known for lying, falsely diagnosing people, ripping them off, making them sick, getting kickbacks from the drug companies from $200 to $1,000, sharing it with associates and friends that were known for doing the same thing. Get an attorney and sue them. It's immoral. It's unethical what they did. You're not the first one. You're not the only one they're doing it to. You got to think I was on like 18 drugs. Try $200 to $1,000 one person per month. They almost killed me. My heart's still damaged. The FBI is going back and still putting those doctors in jail for what they did before. A 71-year-old doctor just went to jail for almost 60 years. It's fraud. It's negligence. It's attempted murder. You can't rip somebody off and almost kill them. If I would have turned them over to the state alone, would have arrested them. If Strange wouldn't have pushed Danny to suicide, I would have been a millionaire. I would have been a millionaire. Now think about that. Now we're going to also, and I took another doctor telling him, and then 9 months is while I get well. Do I claim anything what those crackpots said? No, I don't have to. It's fraud. The police have already documented it was fraud. It was medical malpractice, and the medication was making me sick. They're just ripping me off. And they didn't care if I died. It's sick what they did. Okay, you don't have to claim somebody defrauded you. Because people with brain tumors just don't get well. People with epilepsy just don't get well. You can't live a normal, healthy life without medication for anything that's major. Okay? And I was never listed insane. I was never committed to a state hospital. A board of doctors did not all agree on a diagnosis. I wasn't taken to a probate judge. All my rights being taken away. I don't have a guardian. I don't have a social worker. I don't get a free apartment from the state. And I don't get my utilities paid. And I don't get Social Security. He lied. Nice try, drug dealer Pete. They ever pick up drug dealer Pete? He's pretending he's FBI agent. Well, July 8th, 24. Altman Hospital Billing Department, 9:10 a.m. He was retired Judge Pete. He was an investigator. He was an attorney. And he's a drug dealer and he's a human trafficker. He fully confesses, and it echoes through my phone. My phone's bugged by the police, the FBI, the hospital, and now he's telling he's an FBI agent. Well, now, I wasn't the only one they were framing. They were framing retired Judge Pete, Judge Timothy Ludick, and Judge Stephen. If you look up Judge Timothy Ludick, he's a domestic trial judge. He does divorces. Judge Stephen is a civil judge. They're not even the criminal judges. So, who the hell went through a divorce and the wife got a lot? And who the hell was sued civilly that lost a lot? Wasn't Bill from the Freemason, was it? Because then you got to think, Bill from the Freemasons was involved in this. Why would he be involved in the drug cartel? Mm-hmm. Human traffickers. Why would he try to frame two sitting judges that are a divorce judge and a civil judge? And why pick out Stephen and Ludick when there's like 8 judges up there, at least? They picked them out particular. So who went through a divorce that they lost everything? Was it Bill from the Freemason? Did he get sued civilly for harming someone too? Huh? Because there's someone that lost everything, and those judges gave their crap away, and they're getting even with them. Retired Judge Pete was just a scam to frame the other two. Retired judges have no authority. It's like a retired cop. Get it? Start thinking about what they're saying and doing. There's reasons behind who they're framing. I was just a pawn, like they said. They're just using her as a pawn. A scam, I call it. And then you gotta think, that FBI agent John, him going, I told you what happened, how he went up to that church and told on me for calling the hotline. Told him he knew I was being drug beat, raped, and didn't care. Witnessed by the police. Witness meeting with Dave, the church people, and now it's on a recorded line. He told on me. Acts like a crazy occult person. Made me beg for my life. Acts like the biggest jackass in the world. On a recorded line to a rape victim, laughing at her. About the rapist I've never met. The sexual predator that's been harming me. How he's framing me, laughing at me. Now, then makes fun of me for some doctor. I didn't even know who it was. My doctors would be 70 to 80 years old. So did you go get a doctor out of a nursing home with dementia? See, the only ones that would be young in their 50s would be the doctor that told on them 22 years ago. And maybe the one surgeon. See what I mean? Everybody else was 50 to 60. They were getting ready to retire. They didn't care anymore. They're just ripping people off. Get it? So, did you go get somebody from a nursing home? Because if they didn't walk in and they weren't 70, they weren't one of my doctors. That's where I thought maybe that lady, I told you, the factory threatened Dave. My dad gave Dave a job because I was pregnant with Josh. Within the first year, some lady started running up bills. It's like, I didn't go to the hospital, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Those aren't mine. Well, back then you just had to call in your information. Afterwards, we reported insurance fraud, and it got so bad. The factory's like, if you say one word, we're going to go after you, Dave, because there's no way that lady got her insurance card information unless you gave it to her. And he's like, Karen, I'd never do that. Yeah, you did. I told you, it was clear in 2001, 2, she was still doing it. Hospital called me up. I want to talk about your stay in the hospital. It's like, I haven't stayed in the hospital in a while. I didn't stay at your hospital. Well, you see Dr. So-and-so. I don't even know who that is. Well, you have 2 little girls. I said, ma'am, I have 3 boys. I think one of them was named Brittany. She even knew their name. We talked. I said, ma'am, that wasn't me. I have 3 boys. This lady, for the last 15 years, has stayed in hospitals. We've got stuck with the copays. I have 3 sons. I have John, Josh, and Dan. I don't have little girls. Well, you can't prove it wasn't you. You better be paying that copay. She's stuck us with $1,000 copays, $2,000, $3,000 copays. And she went Harry-Carry for 15 years. More than likely, it was one of Dave's girlfriends. One of the Canton investigators last year, we found out that idiot was even letting some woman use her insurance. Half my medical records are hers. That's why I thought, well, maybe it's one of her doctors. Huh? That's what I was thinking. Because it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because my doctors, unless it was somebody 70 plus years old, it wasn't one of mine. You have to go back. See, time doesn't stop. It's been 22 years now. It had been over 15, 16. That would have put them at least in their 70s. See what I mean? Where they said it's some guy impersonating a doctor selling people's information. They can't even acknowledge you were ever seen there. They can't tell anybody you've seen any kind of doctor, da-da-da-da-da. They can't say nothing. You have a right to privacy, and they have a license that shuts their mouths, or they go to jail. That's how ridiculous of a scam of a doctor selling people's information. It's automatic jail time. It was a scam they were running. Like the fake sodium pentothal reports where they're stabbing me with date rape drugs, amnesia drugs, get me so stoned so I wouldn't know what happened to me, wake up with bruises, throwing up, heart racing, severely infected, almost passing out, lied that they had true serum, and they're date rape, amnesia drugging me, beating, raping me, and I don't know who did it. I've never met this Pete, the rapist, the guy that was beat, drugging, and raping me. Up in Akron, near a client's house, some of the police were up there knocking on doors, don't say anything to her. She's never met the man that actually did this. How do you do it? We don't know, but we already know everything's photoshopped on her before. Well, they already admitted. They drugged all their confessions. They were using amnesia drugs. They drugged me and told me to say it before. They put a shower scene in the other room to make me look weird. They photoshopped all their lies. They already confessed and made fun of FBI agent John. So you want to think, him going up there telling on me, acting like a crazy occult person, admitting he told on me on a recorded line 4 times, makes fun of me for a rapist and how he's scamming me. Okay? And then makes me beg for my life, offers to take me somewhere, leave me with no money, and then the informant program. And then threatens me if I told, even though he admitted he already told on me. Been seen telling on me. Oh, no one, you can't withhold protection. It's the 14th Amendment. You can't take somebody's money. You get money for working the case and only for working the case. And then freedom of speech, it takes a judge to put a gag order you. Police and agents don't have that kind of authority. And they can't bully you into false statements. They can't threaten you like that. It makes you wonder if he's a little more cunning than what you think. Because the FBI's been around me the whole time. 2 of the young guys I think are cops are actually federal agents. That guy that walked in there, where Dave said he hired Pete on his own, he has the number to the fentanyl king. Do you think that they didn't know that he wasn't one of his men? Oh my God, one of the fentanyl king's men walked in. He's running a scam on a lady. They want him. Like they said, they all act like they were going along with it because they want that traitor. Who is the king from Texas? He's U.S. military, Iraqi translator, went into the dark web, malware. Fentanyl king. He's a traitor. Him and his men are serial killers, selling women and children in their own little terrorist group. Who do they really want, Petey Pooh? They want you and your boss. So, FBI and police, you're afraid to pick up Pete? He's going to harm somebody else. He's deranged and he thinks he's not stoppable. And he will confess that he did all this and think you can't stop him. He's a psychopath. And he can call, he admitted he called, he ordered those men to show up. He paid them to be here. He paid them to harm me. He paid for everything. Fully confessed, like people said, we all heard that drug dealer confess. What are they waiting for? Turn him over to the CIA. They'll get that number for that fentanyl king out of him in 30 minutes. He likes to torture women and sell videos of it. He's very deranged. They can teach him what torture is. Those men that have women beat on, raped, murdered, they're usually the biggest babies on earth and cowards. Or they wouldn't have hurt somebody smaller and harmless. Give him to the CIA. They'll get that Iraqi number out of him. You're afraid to pick him? What are you waiting for? Like people said, that old drug dealer confessed. He paid for everything. He hired all those men. He brought them here. He paid them to harm her. What are they waiting for? The case is solved. It's him. Why haven't you picked him up?